Captain America Brave New World is out now, not just introducing us to a new Captain America, but a new Hulk, a Red Hulk who's seriously powerful too. With a multiverse war brimming on the horizon, with the MCU bigger than ever before, well, today we're going to take a look at every hero in the MCU, ranking them all from weakest to strongest. So let's get to it. Jubilee can basically shoot out fireworks from her hands, and while I guess with a power like that she could have been higher on this list, we've literally seen nothing from her, so to the bottom she goes. Nick Fury is the ultimate spy, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., arguably one of the most dangerous men on the planet. He's a master of espionage and infiltration, a master planner and strategist, and even though the guy only has one eye, he's still an expert shot. Echo is an incredibly skilled and deadly martial artist. She's so good at fighting that she's been able to fight against both Hawkeye and Daredevil and hold her own. However, even though she is a good fighter, she's not near the best on this list. In fact, she's near the bottom. Oh, Darwin, what could have been? His mutant power is supposed to be reactive adaptation, meaning his body rapidly grows and evolves in order to protect him from any attack and allow him to survive in any situation. It's all focused on keeping him alive, or at least that's what his power is supposed to be, because Darwin was pretty much instantly taken out with the first bad guy he ran across, so not all that impressive. Kraglin was a Ravager and the right-hand man of Yondu before joining up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. While he's got Yondu's Yaka arrow and finally mastered how to control it, he hasn't really shown anything too impressive with it just yet, putting him down near the bottom. Wolfsbane is basically a werewolf, although not literally a werewolf because she's not depending on the moon. So basically her powers are able to transform into an actual wolf. It's cool and it's useful in a fight, but she's not all that impressive or powerful, especially compared to a whole lot of other heroes out there. Jack Russell is a werewolf, cursed to transform into a monster under a full moon, and dedicated to helping other monsters in need. As a werewolf, Jack is superhumanly strong, fast, and tough. He's more than a match for most people he comes across and can tear them to shreds. Kate Bishop grew up idolizing Hawkeye, who had saved her during the Battle of New York, and wanted to become just like him, even mastering a bow and arrow. She's an expert shot, maybe only second to Clint himself. And while she's a skilled fighter, she's not quite on par with someone like Black Widow or Hawkeye. Even though Angel was one of the original X-Men in the comics, he's never really been given the spotlight or a time to shine in the movies. He's got two different versions, his main form, then Archangel as a servant of Apocalypse. And while Archangel can throw around metal feathers, his main superpower is just being able to fly around with his angel wings. Punisher is the ultimate soldier. When his family was brutally murdered, well, he took his war to the streets and against all crime. He's one of the best fighters on the planet, able to fight on par with Daredevil and actually beat him in a fight, and is a true physical force. He's incredibly strong and ridiculously tough, but his main thing are guns. Guns, guns, lots of guns. And he's an expert shot. He rarely misses. He's basically a one-man army and functions under the rule of one shot, one kill. Yelena Belova is the sister of Natasha Romanoff and is another deadly and highly trained Black Widow. She's one of the best fighters on the planet. She can fight on par with Hawkeye and other Black Widows, and cause she's a highly trained Black Widow assassin, well, she's got all the gear and weapons that you could possibly want in a fight. Banshee's got the power of a sonic scream. While it's deafening to everyone nearby, will give all the dogs in the neighborhood a headache, one of the main advantages here is just the versatility. He's learned how to fly with his scream by riding the sound waves. He's even got a limited form of echolocation. Rocket Raccoon might literally be a raccoon, but don't let that fool you. He's one of the smartest fighters in the universe and comes equipped with literally every weapon that you can imagine. And anything that he doesn't have, well, he can come up with on the fly. Even weapons that can blow up moons or kill celestials. Okoye is the leader of the Dora Milaje, an elite fighting force and the Black Panther's personal security. She's easily one of the greatest fighters on the planet, a highly skilled martial artist, and with her vibranium spear, well, she's able to actually take on a lot bigger foes than you would think. Warpath is just basically the X-Men's version of a super soldier. He's superhumanly strong, fast, he's tough, he's a skilled fighter, and loves his Bowie knife. But maybe the greatest thing that he's got are his senses. He can see in the dark and detect things moving up to 10 miles away. Psylocke got the ability to manipulate psychic energy, and she usually uses it to create weapons and swords for fights. She's basically like a purple psychic ninja. It's a really skilled fighter and a deadly killer. Hawkeye is another ultimate spy and assassin, on top of being the world's best shot and marksman. There isn't a shot he can't make. The man just doesn't miss. And as the years have gone on, his arrow arsenal has just gotten more and more impressive. Hawkeye might not look it, but he can take down a lot of enemies with just one well-placed arrow. Matt Murdock is Daredevil, blind lawyer by day and street vigilante by night. He might be the most technically skilled fighter on Earth, and it's very, very hard, if not dang near impossible, to actually beat Matt in just a pure skill fight. And while he might not be superhuman, his senses do come in handy, between his hearing and smell, or to some degree make him dang near omniscient. The Red Guardian was Russia's answer to Captain America. While there might have been a time where he could actually contend with Steve Rogers, those days are long behind him. But still, he's a super soldier, he's superhuman. While he might have put on some pounds, he's still incredibly strong, incredibly tough, and a very hard man to beat. John Walker was who the US government chose to replace Steve Rogers as Captain America. But when he murdered someone in broad daylight, well, then Sam Wilson took over the mantle from him. But the government wasn't done with John. They recruited him in secret to serve as US agent. John isn't as skilled or capable a fighter as the OG Captain America was. So when he lost one too many fights, well, he decided to amp himself with the super soldier serum. And then US Agent became insanely powerful. He was able to fight against Falcon and Winter Soldier at the same time. But he's still not a very skilled fighter, and that ultimately is always going to hold him back. The wife of Moon Knight, Layla made a deal with an Egyptian god to become her avatar, transforming into the Scarlet Scarab. She's superhumanly strong and tough, on par with the super soldiers in the MCU. She can instantly create different weapons out of her magical armor. She's even got a healing factor and can instantly recover from a lot of attacks. Black Widow is the ultimate spy and assassin. She's one of the most agile and skilled fighters on Earth, and actually has some seriously powerful weapons, like her Widow's Bite. Cannot just send Ant-Man flying, but can actually stun Black Panther through his vibranium suit. Beast is an interesting one. He's another one of the founding X-Men in comics, and in comics, you can argue that he should be higher than this. But just in the movies, well, this is a fair spot, I believe, simply because of Beast's lack of versatility. He's incredibly strong, surprisingly fast and agile, but that's about all he's got. And then he's trying to take on Magneto? Yeah, that's not going to go too well. Blink comes from the alternate Days of Future Past universe, and she's got some very handy powers, being able to create portals at will. This means she can instantly teleport all around during a fight and get out of harm's way. but she can also close those portals in an instant. And trust me, you don't want to get caught in one when that happens. Gambit's got the mutant ability to charge up items with biokinetic energy, causing it to explode. He usually just resorts to throwing playing cards around, which go off with the force of a grenade, but Gambit can theoretically charge up just about anything. And the larger the item, well, the larger the explosion. The Yaka arrow is a really powerful weapon, and while Kraglin might not have quite mastered it just yet, Yondu definitely had the hang of it. I mean, just by whistling and causing the arrow to fly around, he was able to kill an entire squad of Sicarians before they had time to react, or take down a whole fleet of Ravagers who had mutinied against him. The arrow is able to move at speeds of up to Mach 5 at least. It looks like it's capable of penetrating through almost anything, and Yondu was even able to use it to fight against the Celestial Ego. They make fun of Domino's powers, but turns out being lucky is actually a pretty useful power. She can manipulate probability fields, basically meaning that she can turn things in her favor, even regardless of how improbable it might be. It makes her kinda OP in a fight sometimes. She's also a really good fighter on her own and an elite mercenary. Mystique was born with the ability to shapeshift into anyone she wants, which should come in pretty handy when your real form is a blue-skinned scaly lady. She's also very fast and agile and a pretty skilled fighter. She can casually take down most opponents. She's even able to hold her own against someone like Wolverine. Winter Soldier is one of the best fighters and killers on the planet, except he doesn't really like doing the whole killing thing anymore. He's a super soldier just like Captain America. He's dang near equal in a fight. With Bucky's skill and experience, who is a threat to anyone who crosses his path. Sunspot has the mutant power to absorb and manipulate solar energy. He basically becomes the X-Men's Human Torch, and he can use all that sunlight to shoot out Flame Blast, burst himself into flames, and he gains super strength and super durability. Korg started out on Sakaar as a gladiator, but he eventually met Thor and Hulk and got to help lead his rebellion at long last. Because he's obviously a giant rock monster, well, Korg is superhumanly strong and superhumanly tough. He can pack quite a punch, and there aren't many attacks out there that can put him down. Nebula was a former assassin, daughter of Thanos, and actually an enemy to the Guardians. But although it took some convincing, she eventually joined up with the team and found a family. Thanks to being rebuilt and programmed by Thanos, Nebula is superhumanly strong, superhumanly tough, and even has a regenerative healing factor. She can quickly heal and reshape her body from what would have otherwise have been fatal attacks. Nebula is also a highly skilled and well-trained fighter. Thanks to her new Bud rocket, she's got an incredible new cybernetic arm that works a lot like Iron Man's nanite armor. She can instantly reshape it and transform it to basically any weapon imaginable. Bishop's got the power to absorb and redirect all different types of energy, which he can then fire back out as his own energy blasts. It's a pretty effective power. He's basically able to take your attack, then turn it and use it against you. But there are limits to it, and his energy absorption can be overloaded and take him out. Peter Quill was the founder of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and while he might look like just your typical scavenger turned hero, there's actually more than meets the eye. See, Peter is only half human. He's also half celestial. And even before that celestial part of him was awakened, he was powerful enough to briefly hold the Power Stone on his own without immediately combusting. And once he awakened his full power, while he was able to challenge his father, a true celestial, who had just wiped the floor with the other Guardians. But that part of him died along with Ego, even if he still might have some celestial DNA inside of him. But even if Star-Lord isn't as powerful as he once was, with his weapons and experience, he's still enough of a threat to tangle with Spider-Man and Iron Man, even to help fight against Thanos. Cannonball's got the ability to basically transform himself into a living cannonball. He'll charge up with all sorts of energy and launch himself into the air at an opponent. And that same energy that he's using to charge himself up, what also creates a force field around him, makes him invulnerable to attacks. So while he's literally charging headfirst into harm's way, he's not actually hurt by it. Sprite is an Eternal, and she's the trickster and the little mischievous one. She can create some pretty great and pretty complex illusions, so she's very useful in a fight because, well, how do you even know who you're really fighting when you're having to work through all these illusions? America Chavez is a girl with the power to travel through the multiverse. She can open up different portals and jump through them to wherever she wants, and she can pack all this extra dimensional energy into her punches too, basically launching out multiverse punches. Havoc is Cyclops' older brother. They have basically the same powers. They're both able to shoot a concussive blast of energy, except for Havoc, well, instead of out of his eyes, it's really out of his whole body. The problem with that is he really had no control over them. They would just shoot out all over the place, causing havoc. But eventually he learned and mastered his powers and was pretty powerful. Lady Sif is an elite Asgardian warrior. She's superhumanly powerful and on par with most super soldiers, and she's also an incredibly skilled fighter. Even though she lost a fight to Gore, still being able to survive an encounter of Gore the God Butcher is impressive enough. Kingo is an Eternal, and he puts his powers and immortality to good use, becoming rich and famous. He can charge up and fire out little blasts of energy from his fingertips, which I guess does put a whole new meaning on the idea of finger guns. Kamala Khan is the mutant superhero Miss Marvel, with the power to manipulate hard light, creating constructs or even launching out energy blasts a whole lot like a Green Lantern would. She might still be young and new to the superhero game, but she's becoming more and more powerful as time goes on. Heimdall is an Asgardian god tasked with being the gatekeeper to Asgard and protector of the Bifrost. He's superhuman and on par with most super soldiers. He's a skilled and formidable fighter with his sword. He's even got the power of all sight, being able to see and hear everything going on in all the realms at all time. Mark Spector was a former Marine mercenary until he's approached by the Egyptian god Khonshu to become his avatar, transforming into Moon Knight. Being a godly avatar, Moon Knight is incredibly strong, fast, and tough. He's even got a healing factor and is pretty much unstoppable. He's a skilled and formidable fighter, can create weapons instantly, and depending on who exactly is in charge at the moment, fights with pretty much no restraint or remorse. Laura, also known as X-23, is the biological daughter of Wolverine, has essentially the same powers, powerful healing factor and adamantium claws. Just like her dad, she's able to heal from literally any attack that comes her way. She's a powerful and skilled fighter, and she's able to easily cut through opponents with her razor-sharp claws, even having an adamantium claw come out of her feet. Another daughter of Thanos, Gamora is easily the most skilled fighter out of all the Guardians. I mean, there's a reason why she's known as the deadliest woman in the galaxy and as a living weapon. She's a superhuman on par with Drax and Nebula. But where Gamora really does shine is her skill. She was regularly able to beat Nebula just over and over again in their spars, and her skill was so great that Thanos himself considered her to be the finest out of all his children and the fiercest woman in the galaxy. Mirage is an interesting one, because while she doesn't really have the greatest control over her powers can be absolutely crippling and take down much more powerful foes. She's got the power of illusion casting, meaning she can make powerful illusions of her opponent's greatest fears and nightmares, then use them to terrorize her enemies, causing them serious physical and mental damage. Mantis is a celestial hybrid and Star Lord's sister. She's also an empath, meaning she's got the ability to sense other people's feelings and alter them. Now, Mantis was originally a pretty bad fighter, honestly, but after her years alongside the Guardians, she was honed into an expert fighting machine. And now she also knows how to use her empathy powers in an actual fight, meaning you can be trying to fight against her, and suddenly you just start dancing or you're madly in love with Drax instead of trying to punch him. And her empathy powers can work to a pretty staggering level too. She's powerful enough to even put Ego or Thanos in a trance. Nightcrawler is the OG teleporter for the X-Men, able to instantly teleport from one point to another, and it really comes in pretty handy in a fight. He's an expert at using his powers. He's nearly impossible to actually tag in a fight, and he can pick up enemies and teleport with them, taking them out of the fight that way. Kitty Pryde's got the mutant power to phase through objects, meaning she can literally shift herself on the atomic level and pass through solid things. What's especially devastating is when she takes someone else along for the ride with her, leaving them trapped stuck halfway in an object. Ajax is the leader of the Eternals, and while she was the leader of the team, she's also basically just the team's medic, just running around and healing everyone else throughout a fight, not really doing much fighting herself. Rogue has the ability to absorb another person's memories and powers just by touching them. She holds that touch for long enough, while she eventually will absorb their life. But while killing someone with just a touch is pretty powerful, she's also able to absorb another mutant's powers, then use it herself, meaning she can potentially have any mutant power out there for a short period of time. Cable is a cyborg mutant soldier from the future, so a lot going on there, but he's an excellent warrior and an expert killer. He's got some superhuman strength and durability because of his cyborg body, a whole lot of futuristic tech and weapons, even up to a time travel device, and even some limited telekinesis, which we'll see from time to time. Riri Williams is a brilliant MIT student who took after the man Tony Stark, creating a powerful suit of armor for herself. After teaming up with Shuri and Wakanda, Riri was able to create a power armor made out of vibranium, allowed her to fight against superhuman opponents, shoot out energy blasts, and fly around at incredible speeds. Wasp is Ant-Man's partner in crime. While she can't grow big, she can shrink down real small. She's able to fly, she can shoot out laser blasts at will, and is a surprisingly skilled fighter, especially with her size-altering powers. Cyclops is the leader of the X-Men and is famous for his power to shoot out powerful optic blasts from his eyes. These blasts are seriously powerful too, and Scott is an expert when it comes to shooting them around. He's got incredible aim. He's even mastered the ricochet, like he's Captain America or something. Shuri was the princess of Wakanda, but after the loss of her mother and her brother, well, she took her place on the throne as the new queen and the new Black Panther. She took a variation of the heart-shaped herb and gained all the powers of the Black Panther. She's got her own Black Panther suit made out of vibranium, and of course she had to include her signature vibranium gauntlets that can shoot out blasts of sonic energy. Drax started out on a quest for revenge for his family and rampaged across the galaxy, but it ended with him saving the galaxy a few times and forming a new family. Drax is probably the strongest member of the original Guardians, with the only one coming close to rivaling him being Groot. He's also incredibly durable. able to survive the heat of re-entry and crash landing on the outside of a spaceship. He's a brutal fighter and acts almost like a bull in a china shop, just wrecking everything in sight. However, while Drax believes that he has no limits, he clearly does. Ronan and Thanos were able to easily overpower him. He believed that he could take a full powered blast from Iron Man, but Mantis and Doctor Strange definitely didn't. And this crazy radical self confidence actually ends up with Drax putting himself in some pretty rough situations. Captain America is the leader of the Avengers, and he gets a serious power upgrade if you give him Mjolnir, but even without it, he's basically the pinnacle of human potential. He's incredibly strong. That shield of his is nearly indestructible. He's one of the best fighters on the planet. I mean, Captain America is so impressive that he had Deadpool gushing and even Thanos shocked. Deadpool is technically a mutant, as he was injected with a drug that was supposed to activate any mutant gene laying hidden inside of him. While it did technically work, giving him a healing factor on par with Wolverine, it also kinda ruined his life. But Deadpool took it all in stride, went on to become an elite merc, one of the best fighters and killers on the planet. Colossus is the big, lumbering muscle. He's also a teddy bear and got a heart of gold. He can transform his whole body into living steel, making him incredibly strong and ridiculously tough, to the point where he can beat Angel Dust in a fight and even hold his own against Juggernaut, although he did get pushed to the point of fighting dirty in that one. Black Panther is a lot like Captain America and Winter Soldier, a superhuman super fighter. But what sets him apart from the bunch is access to all the vibranium tech. Makes him dang near indestructible in a fight. Takes a villain like Thanos to knock him out. And if he stores enough energy inside the suit, he's able to floor Hulk level characters. Sam Wilson started out as the Falcon and Steve Rogers' right hand man. But as Steve grew old, well, he passed down the mantle of Captain America and the iconic shield to Sam. It took Sam a while to fully accept it, but now he's Captain America through and through. Now Sam might not be a super soldier. With his vibranium tech, well, he's basically superhuman. He can fly at supersonic speeds, he's strong enough to cut through cars or even fighter jets, he's tough enough to take direct attacks from Red Hulk. He's definitely become a whole lot better with that shield. Sam straight up beat a Hulk in a fight. Not very many people can say that. Wolverine is easily the most famous X-Men out there, complete with his signature adamantium claws and healing factor. He's incredibly strong and powerful, can survive literally any attack that comes his way, even nuclear bombs. With his adamantium claws, well, you really don't want to get caught in between them. He's a skilled fighter, a lethal killer. He's the best at what he does. And what he does isn't pretty. We've never really seen much from Magic. After all, she was in the only X-Men movie that most people didn't see. But her powers are actually legit. She's got the ability to travel between dimensions, jumping in and out of limbo at will. She's a skilled and tremendous fighter for Soul Sword, and was the one who gave the best fight to the Demon Bear, a literal embodiment of fear. Iceman isn't just able to transform himself into an Iceman, but he's also able to shoot out ice all around him, either bring people down to freezing, catch them in ice, or just hit them with an ice blast. Not just that, but it looks like he's able to actually control cold and heat itself. Monica Rambeau was fundamentally changed by Scarlet Witch and her chaos magic hex, rewriting her DNA to give her superpowers. She can absorb and manipulate pretty much all forms of energy, shoot that energy back out at opponents, she can turn intangible and fly around. When Spectrum really gets going, she can even transform into a being of pure energy. Shang-Chi is one of the best fighters on the planet. He's a master martial artist. But what puts him so high up on the list now is because he's the master of the 10 rings. They're some of the most powerful weapons in the universe. Shang-Chi is already a master at using them in a fight. He's able to use them to team up with the Great Protector and defeat the giant monster, the Dweller in Darkness. Ted Sallis was originally just an ordinary guy until he was transformed into the monstrous creature, the Man-Thing. And because Man-Thing is a giant monster, well, he's obviously incredibly strong and very, very tough. He's also got a special power to burn anyone he touches as long as they fear him. And again, considering that he's a giant monster, well, it's pretty easy to get people to be afraid of him. Phastos is another Eternal and is basically the technology master. It's basically Tony Stark with superpowers, because Phastos can manipulate tech without even touching it. And because of that, well, he can create all sorts of technology in the middle of a fight, all of which comes in pretty freaking handy. I mean, he was able to restrain Icarus and start draining his powers all at the same time. Cersei is an Eternal who's got this incredible ability to transmute any material from one thing into another, like turning water into wine or anything like that. Now, when she's tapping into the Unimind, which is when all the Eternals are all synced up together, they're directly tapping in and drawing power from a Celestial, well, then she's able to transform anything into anything. Outside of that, though, well, then she's just limited to non-organic material, nothing alive, but still incredibly powerful. Sylvie is a Loki variant who was kidnapped by the TVA as a child, but she escaped, made it her life's mission to destroy the TVA. She's a skilled and powerful sorceress, able to cast all sorts of magic at will, shooting out energy blast, mentally controlling others, or pretty much anything that she wants. Peter Parker, or the Amazing Spider-Man, is a Spider-Man from another universe and is definitely powerful and strong. He's got all the same powers as every other Spider-Man, where he's probably at his best with speed and agility. The guy is stupid fast, and he can definitely put that speed and power to good use in a fight. Jen Walters is the cousin of Bruce Banner. After getting injected with some of his blood, well, she transformed into a Hulk too, the She-Hulk. Now, She-Hulk is incredibly strong and incredibly tough. I mean, she is a Hulk, but she never really fought anyone on par with the Hulk, so we never really saw what would be the true extent of her powers. But one thing that she can do is break through the fourth wall and interact with the real world, a whole lot like Deadpool. Spider-Man is low-key one of the most powerful heroes on Earth. He's strong enough to fight Hulk-level villains, he's fast and agile enough to dodge lightning and energy blasts and everything that comes his way. With his spider sense, well, the man is low-key omniscient to a certain degree. The friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, or Tobey's Spider-Man, isn't just the OG, but he's still the most powerful Spider-Man out there. He's got all the same powers as the other Spider-Men: superhuman strength, speed, durability, all of it. But he can actually create his own webbing, so he'll never run out, and he's already proven that he's still stronger than the other Spider-Men, stopping Peter from killing the Green Goblin. The brother of the Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver was exposed to the Tesseract, which transformed one of the fastest men on the planet. He can move at easily superhuman speeds, just appearing as nothing more than a blur. With speed like that, well, you also know that he's packing quite the punch with each hit that he throws out. Gilgamesh is another Eternal and is basically the quintessential strong guy. The big tough guy with a mean right hook, who's not so secretly a giant teddy bear. He's the strongest out of all the Eternals. You could even compare him to the Hulk, although maybe more like Professor Hulk and not really the OG Hulk. Rhodey is the best friend of Tony Stark, And because Tony is a good guy, well, he made his friend his own Iron Man armor, the War Machine. The armor is pretty much the same as any Iron Man armor: superhuman strength, durability, the power of flight, pretty much any weapon or gadget that you can imagine. The difference here is really between Tony and Rhodey. He's just not as good or skilled at operating the suit, and that ultimately holds him back. Storm can control the weather at will, and she's easily one of the most powerful mutants out there. She can shoot out lightning bolts, control thunderstorms, hurricanes, tornadoes, all at will. She's absolutely a force to be reckoned with. She's definitely one of the top members of the X-Men, no doubt about that. Groot was Rocket's best friend, and together they traveled the galaxy picking up bounties, till they met Star-Lord, Gamora, and Drax and formed the Guardians. Then, in the ultimate act of self-sacrifice, Groot gave his own life in order to save his new friends. Being a Flora Colossus, or basically a giant tree, Groot was superhumanly strong and superhumanly tough. He could also grow and shape his body, stretching out his limbs, creating shields. Just by basically relying on his brute strength, he can absolutely wreck shop and destroy almost any enemy that stands in his way. But of course, Groot didn't stay dead. No, baby Groot is all grown up now, and I think he's finally stronger than his dad. He can do basically all the same things that the original Groot could do, being super strong, super tough, all of that. But this Groot showed a whole lot more versatility and creativity in a pinch. I mean, he could grow wings and kind of fly around, grow in size and turn into a giant kaiju. Sky's the limit with this new Groot. Thena, she's one of the most powerful Eternals, a brave and unflinching warrior while in a battle. You definitely want Thena on your side in a fight, except for when she loses her mind and straight up attacks you. But outside of that, she's a good person to have on your team. She's very strong and very fast and very skilled. But more important, she can create any weapon in an instant. Black Bolt is the king of the Inhumans, and he's got the power of sonic shouts. Every noise that Black Bolt makes launches out destructive sonic blasts. These sonic shouts are so powerful that Black Bolt was able to help defeat Thanos on Titan, saving their universe from destruction. Cosmo the Space Dog was sent into space as part of the Soviet Union space program and developed sonic powers along the way. She would be captured by the Collector and kept as a specimen in his museum, but eventually made it out on her own, became a member of the Guardians. Cosmo has telepathic powers, being able to mentally communicate with people, then automatically translating through her collar. But she's also got telekinesis, powerful enough telekinesis to hold two gigantic city-sized spaceships together. And I know it might seem crazy to put Cosmo so high on this list, but city-level telekinesis is insane. Cosmo really is that powerful. Vision is one of the forgotten heroes in the MCU, but when he's at his best, well, he's really very powerful. His phasing allows him to cut through a lot of characters and attack them from the inside out, on top of giving him superhuman strength and durability. You can't forget, he has a literal Infinity Stone in his forehead that it can shoot at you. Ant-Man might not be too impressive, but as soon as he transforms into Giant Man, that's a whole different story. He's got strength nearly on par with the Hulk himself. He's able to grow hundreds of feet tall, and is a threat to the likes of even Kang the Conqueror. Adam Warlock is incredibly powerful. He can literally solo the Guardians of the Galaxy like it's nothing. But while he is quite formidable, Adam was released from his cocoon prematurely. So he's not as powerful as he could be. But that means that it's only up from here for him. Valkyrie was a member of Asgard's elite fighting force, before teaming up with Thor to help defeat Hela, then even going on to become King of Asgard herself. She's superhumanly strong and powerful, nearly on par with someone like Iron Man. She's one of the most skilled and capable warriors in the universe. And after helping defeat Zeus, well, Valkyrie took his thunderbolt for herself, meaning she can control and generate lightning. Wong is a master of the mystic arts and is the current Sorcerer Supreme. He's one of the most powerful magic users in the universe, and with magic, can do pretty much anything that he wants. Unfortunately, well, Wong just hasn't actually done a whole lot, and prefers let Doctor Strange actually go out there and handle all the big magic threats himself. Iron Man is basically the face of the Avengers. With all his different suits of high-tech armor, well, he is seriously powerful. I mean, this is a guy who went one-on-one, mano-a-mano with Thanos with 4 Infinity Stones. Even if the fight didn't end too great for Tony, that is still insanely impressive. He's able to fight gods, genocidal robots, and is smart enough to come up with an answer to any problem he faces. Gaia is one of the first Super Skrulls out there, and man, she is incredibly powerful. She's got the ability to transform into essentially any hero or villain that we've seen so far in the MCU, including but not limited to Thor, Hulk, Captain Marvel, Drax, even Thanos. So like the strength of the Hulk, the energy powers of Captain Marvel, the agility of Spider-Man, and the fighting skill of Captain America, all in one person. But even though she can copy everyone else's powers, I don't really want to say that she's just as powerful or even more powerful than the people she's copying, at least not based off just one fight. So that's why she's here on the list. Kahori was just an ordinary young woman until her village was raided and she fell into the Tesseract-filled waters in the Forbidden Lake. This transported her to the Sky World, where she gained some truly incredible powers and abilities. She absorbed energy and power from the Space Stone, meaning that Kahori can now basically channel that cosmic energy any way that she wants. She can move at superhuman speed, manipulate objects in the air and control their movements, even instantly create portals to anywhere in the multiverse and send people through those portals with just a thought. Druig might not look it, but he's really one of the most powerful Eternals out there. Druig can control the minds of people around him, to the point where he said he could take over the minds of every human on the planet. And when he was synced up to the Unimind, well, his powers got an upgrade, because he was even able to mind control a Celestial. Makari is like the ultimate speedster. She can run all around the world in an instant. Is crazy fast even in a fight too. And when she really gets going, well, she's able to hit you with some pretty epic slams and rams and shoulder checks. Jane Foster was the world's leading astrophysicist and Thor's girlfriend. When she came across the broken pieces of Mjolnir, well, the hammer reconstructed itself and Jane became the mighty Thor. She's got all the same powers as Thor himself: superhuman strength, speed, durability. She's got the ability to control and manipulate lightning, and she's even got a better connection to Mjolnir than maybe Thor did. Icarus is the leader and most powerful member of the Eternals. He's a cosmically powerful super robot and basically functioned like Superman in the MCU. He's the most powerful Eternal out there. He's a country-level threat, is basically immortal, and can literally fly faster than light speed. He probably would have been much higher on this list if he hadn't gotten a guilty conscience and flown headfirst into the sun, because only one showing is only going to get you so high here. Quicksilver is the son of Magneto, and is easily the fastest mutant out there. And no kidding, this guy is stupid fast. He can reach supersonic speeds no problem. And not only is he able to completely statue bullets, but he can completely statue explosions and lightning too. And all this speed definitely helps Quicksilver in a fight. He's able to rock Apocalypse with a punch. And considering that there are only a handful of other people fast enough to catch him, yeah, I would say Quicksilver deserves to be near the top of this list. Billy Maximoff, or Wiccan, is the son of the Scarlet Witch. This has made him an extremely powerful magical being. He's slowly becoming more and more of an expert in witchcraft. But Billy is just an innately powerful person. Like, on top of the magic he inherited from his mom, well, Wiccan is straight up able to create and warp reality at will. He was the one who was able to make the legend of the Witch's Road real, subconsciously creating the rules and trials of the road as they went along. Thunderbolt Ross has officially transformed into the Hulk, and he is insanely strong, which does make sense. He's a Hulk. He was able to tear apart the White House, level the West Wing with a thunderclap, easily smash through another part of the building, even tear apart the Washington Monument as he was jumping past. But Red Hulk's greatest strength feat comes from his fight with Captain America. Ross was able to rip apart Cap's wing with just one hand, then crack and crush his helmet, all of which was vibranium, the strongest, toughest, most indestructible metal in the world before adamantium came around, and Red Hulk is crushing it and tearing it apart in his bare hands. That's some of the greatest strength we've ever seen in the MCU. He's insanely strong. I don't think it's any surprise that the Hulk is a little bit of a disappointment in the MCU. He started out super strong in The Incredibles and the Avengers, had some nice showings in Thor Ragnarok, but then he lost to Thanos in Infinity War, became the Professor Hulk, and never managed to recover. But still, it's the Hulk. The big guy is incredibly strong. He's had some great feats along the way, fighting against Thor, punching Surtur in the face, or even snapping the Infinity Gauntlet. Professor X is the founder of the X-Men, the driving force behind peace between humanity and mutant kind, one of the most powerful telepaths on the planet. He can read people's minds with ease, even tapping into almost every mind on the planet at once. Once he's inside your mind, well, you can just simply shut it down with a thought, knock them out, take control of it, plant memories or suggestions, basically do whatever he wants. It's really scary when you think about it. Charles is very, very powerful. Magneto is Professor X's best friend, but the two men couldn't be more different when it comes to mutants' relationship with humanity. He's the master of magnetism and can control everything on the electromagnetic spectrum, but usually just resorts to manipulating metal any way that he wants. And Magneto knows just exactly how to use this power too, ranging from pulling all the metal out of a person's blood, or even shifting the Earth's magnetic poles and causing destruction all around the world. The Ancient One was a master of the mystic arts and the Sorcerer Supreme for a long, long time. It was her job to protect the Earth against all sorts of mystical enemies looking to destroy it. And to make sure that nothing would ever destroy the world, well, she made a deal with the devil, started tapping into the powers of the dark dimension. It's one of the reasons why she was able to live for such a long time. It also allows her greater control, manipulation over alternate realities like the mirror dimension. Doctor Strange is the master of the mystic arts and the Sorcerer Supreme, easily showing off that he's the most powerful sorcerer on Earth and the greatest defense against any magical threat. And he's done some great things throughout the years, dealing with multiversal threats, fighting against Scarlet Witch, even fighting against Thanos with 4 Infinity Stones. However, while Strange has been able to battle against all sorts of enemies, he struggled to actually seal the deal and beat a lot of them. His greatest victory was over Dormammu, and then he only did it with the Time Stone, which he no longer has. That track record kinda holds him back here. The God of Thunder, for a lot of years, Thor was able to hold on to the title as strongest Avenger and most powerful hero in the MCU. Of course, the MCU has been constantly expanding ever since then, and a few people have passed him up. But he's still a god. He's still incredibly powerful. He's the only hero who's legitimately shown off planetary level strength on screen. He's battled against some of the toughest villains out there. He's definitely powerful and on a whole different level than most every other hero out there. Captain Marvel is basically in a class all her own compared to a lot of other heroes in the MCU. Only a few can even remotely compare next to her now that she's had some massive upgrades from her new movie. Like, at her best, well, she's at least hundreds of thousands of times faster than the speed of light. She can fight against Thanos, and she was legit able to reignite a star just based off her own raw power. She's truly in a class all her own. It kinda took a while for Wanda Maximoff to officially become the Scarlet Witch, but when she did, well, she really cemented her place as a powerhouse in the MCU. She's one of the most powerful magic users we've ever seen, to the point where she's more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. Doctor Strange said he had no way to defeat her, and she could take on all the sorcerers of Earth at once. And she's just as powerful against normal heroes too. She easily soloed the Illuminati, which included an alternate version of Captain Marvel. Scarlet Witch was suggested to be a multiversal threat. She really lived up to the hype. Jean Grey, the person who beat Apocalypse. That was even before she had even officially tapped into the Phoenix Force. She's not only the most powerful telepath on Earth, but also has essentially unlimited telekinesis. Basically, she can do whatever she wants with just a thought. And I pretty much do mean whatever she wants. And after merging with the Phoenix, well, she only became even more powerful, easily dwarfing both Professor X and Magneto in power. She was essentially given the powers of a cosmic god. When Steve Rogers wasn't able to take the super soldier serum himself, Peggy Carter stepped up in his place, becoming Captain Carter, the ultimate soldier. And just like Captain America, Captain Carter is superhumanly strong, fast, tough. She's a world-class fighter and a menace with her vibranium shield. However, the version of Captain Carter that I'm talking about here is when she fought against Doctor Strange, and so she gained Infinity Ultron's armor and all 6 Infinity Stones, Hela's helmet and her power, and a gamma-irradiated sword. That's when she just leaped up in power and became one of the most powerful beings in the multiverse. Of course, Captain Carter didn't really use all this power that creatively, and mostly just resorted to firing out energy blasts or still trying to fight hand to hand. Doctor Strange was the Sorcerer Supreme and mastered the mystic arts, and was hellbent on saving the love of his life, Christine Palmer. And so Strange went about collecting more and more power, gaining more and more abilities, until he ultimately accidentally destroyed his entire reality, trying to bring her back. This is where the Watcher found him, and recruited him to lead a team in stopping Infinity Ultron from destroying the multiverse. This fight was mostly Doctor Strange versus Ultron. Ultron even acknowledged this. It was Strange who was primarily fighting against all 6 Infinity Stones in a multiversal threat. We saw this again with his battle against Captain Carter and Kahori. Even with the Infinity Stones and their powers and all the magical items you could want, Kahori and Carter still struggled to beat Strange all on his own. He's that powerful. When the MCU started, did anyone actually think that 15 years later that Loki would be the most powerful character out there? I sure didn't. But he is. No doubt about it. I mean, his power is literally infinite and immeasurable. He managed to destroy the temporal loom and pulled together all the timelines and universes throughout the multiverse and forged them into a creation all his own, where he now reigns supreme. Loki is a complex multiversal being here. He's definitely the most powerful character in the MCU. But what do y'all think? Sound off in the comments down below. I know you're gonna have thoughts and feelings on this one for sure. If you stuck around this long and made it to the end of the video, that's amazing. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us. And if you want to go subscribe, well, go subscribe. You're going to see more videos like this one every single week. I'll see y'all then. I'll see y'all next time.